I don't think anybody would be asking if this guy's got the guts. Here's your look at the Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutagen Man. Victim of Krang's insidious experiments, Seymour Guts woke up from a lab table only to find himself hideously transformed into Mutagen Man, a pathetic, dripping, ever-changing, mutating monster confined to a mechanical life support system that holds his mutating body together. Mutagen Man is now dependent on Ooze to replenish his deteriorating form. Forced to do Shredder's bidding in exchange for retro Mutagen Ooze, Mutagen Man reluctantly performs dastardly deeds to get the substance his body so desperately craves. We're going to spend some more time with the Mutagen Man in a second, but the first thing I really want to do, though, is figure out how tall the figure stands, just in case you're curious to pick up this one for yourself. Grabbing the old trusty ruler of mine and putting it as close to the top of Mutagen Man's somewhat head as I can get it, the figure seems to stand at just shy of 7.5 inches in height, or about 19 centimeters tall. Then for some size comparisons, let's slide over Mutagen Man and bring in the previously looked at Raphael, also from the same line. I haven't done nearly enough of these Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures, and I really should. The fact that they're throwbacks to the original Playmates figure line is just absolutely phenomenal. The fact, of course, that you're getting those classic looks to these characters just with enhanced accessories and much appreciated articulation is really one of the reasons why, again, I should be getting more of these. Now, you can clearly see Raphael goes to about the shoulder section of Mutagen Man. Even in the original Playmates release, Mutagen Man was a slightly bigger figure than some of the other turtle figures that they had also produced. Packed full of accessories would be the best way to describe the Mutagen Man. Let's have a look at all the things that come included with them. Some of the things that are slightly smaller, and of course, if I'm not too careful, I will likely lose. Picking up the first thing so you can actually see it. He's got these little tiny trinkets. The whole idea is that these can be actually stored inside his mutagen chamber, one of which seems to be an adjustable wrench. It's molded and painted here. I'm guessing it seems to be painted rather than actually using the silver plastic, but it's very small and again, very likely to be lost. Something that also falls into the category of most likely to be lost, a little tiny bone, can also go inside of Mutagen Man. Checking off also things that can go inside of Mutagen Man, he gets himself an eyeball. Undetermined as to whose eyeball this belongs to, but it's certainly a gross-looking, very long, stranny-looking eyeball that can actually fit inside of him. He comes also included with a little tiny turtle. And again, really for the fact that these details, these accessories are so small as they actually are nicely detailed. I can almost even make out the fact that there's little tiny eyeballs on this little tiny turtle. The figure also comes included with a little fish. I would be hard-pressed to try to decide what kind of fish this would be. Some experts in the fish field probably could let me know down below in the comment section. And one thing that's really neat about these accessories, all the ones we've looked at so far and will continue to look at, is that they're all molded and painted in different plastic. Now the apple here, judging by the fact that it's such a bright colored green, probably not a good idea to be eating it. Oh, it looks like somebody has already started eating it. I think this has also been molded in plastic. In fact, now that I actually kind of think about it, maybe all the things that we looked at so far have all been molded rather than actually painted. And the last thing that comes included with it is a little tiny pizza slice. This must be from a kid-size pizza. As you can see, again, like the apple, it has a little tiny bite bitten out of it. Possibly, I don't think Mutagen Man is eating these, but he's finding these and storing them inside him. The neat thing about all the things we just finished having a look at is they are accessories that came with the original Playmates Mutagen Man. The thing that was different, though, about the original Playmates release is that the original release came with all of them already attached to the, quote, weapons tray. Something that Super 7 is doing a lot with their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures is that they release the figures with the original weapons tray that would have come included with the Playmates figure. And then they also give you like the enhanced versions. So all the things that we just finished having a look at, the turtle, the eyeball, we can play Guess Who. There's the fish, there's the pizza slice. I guess that's not really so much Guess Who. And there's the bone as well. All again contained inside the little storage rack. You can take these off really if you want to, but considering already for the fact that we already have all of those accessories on their own, and they're better than these ones anyways, I'm probably just more inclined to leave them on the tray. Keep them the way that they originally were on the figure. Speaking of something else that's also from the original figure, Mutagen Man also comes included with his blaster. It doesn't really look that much different from the one that we got from the original Playmates release, short of the fact that Super7 went in there and gave it a little bit extra love. You can see some nice gold that's been added in there, where the original Playmates one, I believe, would only have been molded here in just the yellow plastic. This can fit into his hand, although it fits better on this side of his hand rather than the opposite hand. We'll get to that in a second. The figure also comes, speaking including of hands, figure comes included with a pair of closed fists. It's fine. If you certainly did want to swap out the hands instead in favor of punching hands, he certainly has those as well. I like this one because you can see it has some eroding skin, and inside you can kind of see, ooh, that's kind of gross. Really neat looking hands. Still kept to the same molding plastic as the original one. The one thing that the Playmates release also comes included with, or came included with, that wasn't included with Mutagen Man, is actually the tank. I'm going to pick the figure up and I want to spin this around so you can see it from the back. The original Playmates release would have had this tank, I believe, separate. It would have plugged onto the back and would have had a corresponding hose that would have connected to the top. That would have been all assembly required on your part when you initially picked up the Playmates release. Super7 simply just cut that part out and already installed it for you, and also did the luck of actually adding some additional paintwork on there as well, similar to his blaster. Speaking of said blaster, were we just talking about his blaster? Yes, we were actually. You have a short-term memory. He does actually have the gun that can fit into his hand, and this hand does certainly do the better job of doing it. If you do put it into this hand, the hand is a little bit more of a wider grip. It results in this gun being a little bit more looser in his hands. So that's likely the way I'm going to be displaying Mutagen Man, just the fact I love the fact he comes with these old vintage-inspired accessories. With that being said, let's slide this back out of his hand. Now, Mutagen Man doesn't include slime. What he does have, however, though, is the means to add your own slime. You just simply take the top of his dome off. You just remove this. It's slightly a softer plastic, but still I would say be careful removing it. You don't want to break anything by mistake. Just unplug that, uncork it, so to speak. You just simply add your slime of choice into the top opening here, and you can fill in the cavity chamber with, again, whatever colored ooze and slime that you want to have. I'm probably going to go the route, I think, of green. I'm trying to think what the original Mutagen Man would have had. I think it would have been more like a green color. But yeah, you can certainly fill that up if you want. And it certainly would make then the interior, all the inner workings of Mutagen Man look that much creepier when it's covered and encased in slime. Let's go ahead and cork back the bottle here. Let's pop that again into place. And getting a closer look at what I would consider his face, although it's a bit of a stretch though, you can see that inside of that there's a little tiny skull with big protruding eyes. It looks like something from The Mask. His proportions, like the original toy, are sort of out of whack here. He's got an oversized brain, slightly smaller face, oversized eyes, and what you can sort of play operation, you can kind of pick out. There's his lungs, his heart, his kidney, and possibly even there his stomach as well. Is that his gallbladder off to the side as well? It's possible. All painted and molded nicely in a red plastic. Because again, knock knock, who's there? They actually have the clear dome in front of it. You can easily see all the inner workings of Mutagen Man, like the original toy. Color scheme is pretty much similar to what we would have got with the original Playmates release, short of the fact that this purple frame on the original Playmates was more of a lighter, kind of purplish pink, whereas this one is a much more darker violet. I really like the choices of color that they went with. And like the original Mutagen Man, all the detail work that they've now sculpted onto the arms, the hands, very much like the vintage toy, but certainly one thing that's greatly appreciated by looking at the work that Super7 are doing to these figures is that not only are you getting the nod to the original toy line from the 80s, but you're also getting then the enhanced articulation, where the original Mutagen Man would have not had that. Spinning around to the back, so you can see again, there's the tank that's already plugged in. You don't have to do that for yourself. The running hose onto the top is made of a slightly softer plastic. And again, some really nice sculpted detail here. Very much little in the way of paint. I mean, there is some nice little metallic blue that they've added here on the tops of his shoulders, the side bands, as well as the gauntlets on the sides of his arms. But it seems like his legs and his arms, as well as the framework that makes up his clear dome, his clear body cavity, are all looking like they're molded in plastic rather than actually painted. I'm sure they probably have actually gone here and painted this all purple, of course, and then just keeping the rest of the molded yellow plastic. It's sort of like an off custard yellow. Really nice work on Super 7's part. Looking at the articulation here on Mutagen Man, obviously for obvious reasons, you can't get in there and start moving around his head. That doesn't work that way. But you can certainly take his arms, and his arms hinge out at a comfortable 90 degrees. You can then take those set arms as well and rotate them all the way around. The figure has a swivel in his arm as well. He does also have a hinge in his elbow. And he also repeats the same thing in his wrists. You can rotate his wrists all the way around, and you can also hinge them back and forth as well. No articulation in his torso for the obvious reasons. The figure does have splits on his legs. And you can, again, bring them forward and back. You know, I got to really say, too, I like the plastic that Super 7 is using. It's very user-friendly. Sometimes other companies that are producing figures use more of a not a brittle plastic, but sort of an unforgiving plastic. This plastic is kind of, it's hard to describe, like a rubbery plastic. It doesn't feel rubbery, but it sort of has like the density of a rubbery plastic. So it's very, again, user-friendly. It very much reminds me of like the original plastic that Playmates was using back in the day. As for the legs, again, they move forward and back this way. There's a bend at the knee. It's a little more restricted on this side, simply just because he's got this leg brace further down. But this knee, you can easily bend back and forth. You can rotate the lower leg. And he does also have foot articulation, but again, for the same obvious reasons, a little more restricted right here. The figure does also have peg holes on the undersides of his feet. But again, the figure doesn't have included a display stand. I think I may have mentioned that even when we looked at another Super 7 turtle figure in the past. Yeah, liking the look of Mutagen Man. The only thing that's really lacking in this guy is a release of slime to come include with the figure. But it'd be certainly up to you then deciding for yourself, if you pick this figure up for yourself, if you wanted to add the slime on the inside. I might still decide to do that. I'm sort of on the fence as to, do I want to add the slime? Because I never really like to add things inside of figures. Just because, again, cleaning out later on can always be disastrous. And again, if slime starts degrading over time, sort of like Mutagen Man, if it starts degrading over time, you sort of have to kind of clean it out, get all in there, wipe it down before you actually add some new slime. Maybe just for the time being, I might just leave it off. Enjoy at least the sculpting and the work that Super 7 put into this piece. Again, really giving us the original Playmates look for Mutagen Man, but enhancing it with better accessories, better sculpt, and much more improved articulation. It's such a good time to be a turtle toy collector because we have two different options available and two different companies killing it. If you like the turtles from the cartoon, well, NECA, of course, we've already seen here on this channel, are knocking out of the park when it comes to their turtle cartoon-inspired figures. But if you like somebody like myself also that likes the Playmate stuff, that didn't so much look like the characters from the cartoon, but certainly had a charm all in their own, look no further than the stuff that Super 7 is putting out. They aren't necessarily reinventing the wheel. They sort of are reinventing the wheel. They're taking the original designs that Playmates was doing best back in the day and simply just enhancing them. Like I said, I probably have used enhancing several times in this video, but that's what they're doing. They're taking those original design figures and not doing too much to the look of them, but certainly improving things like their articulation, their paint job, in some of the cases their sculpt, and certainly as well, much needed articulation. Mutagen Man here has much more articulation, certainly can be said, than the original Mutagen Man that would have been released by Playmates. But again, like looking at it, I wish I still had the original Mutagen Man from Playmates where it could have done a side-to-side comparison. Other than maybe just the height, looking at one to the other, they really don't look that much different from one another, right down to the fact they have similar, almost identical accessories. Just again, a little bit extra love from Super 7. Great looking figure though. Let me know down below in the comments section, have you guys been collecting the Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figures? And if you have, which is your favorite figure in that line so far? I always like reading your comments down below. And hey now, if you are new to this channel, you're enjoying the content that you're seeing, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, turn on the bell notification, and at the very end of this video, popping up will be a playlist of the other Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures that I've had a look at. It's not many, but I certainly hope that that will be changing in the immediate future. If you guys did want to go back and have a look at the other videos I've done for Super 7, feel free to check that out and keep your peepers peeled, because there may be also other Super 7 reviews coming your way in the not so distant future. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.